Experiments in speaking the truth in love. Number 2. The second elephant in the room. There are a lot of small things you just don't have to worry about, You don't have to get lost in the details. Some things, some little things become big things. And I see a tendency to pretend that's not going to happen. We say things and don't think there's going to be a consequence. We do things and we don't think there's going to be a consequence. And I'm out here actually nearby some trees. And we all may be familiar with acorns. Acorns become oak trees. I think a lot of little things in life are like that. Of course, this is not an oak tree. This is an evergreen tree here. But, we see this pine cone, and there's some small seeds in there, and eventually, that little seed becomes this big tree. A lot of things are like that. We just talked last time about upending, pretending. There's just so many things, so many layers of life. And even layers inside ourselves where we want to pretend things are a certain way, or we pretend things are not a certain way. And unfortunately, I see a lot of pretending that words and deeds don't have consequences. They do have consequences. I mean, everything out here started as a seed. I mean, look at this beautiful field of flowers. There's grass. There are trees. Everything out here began with a little tiny seed. I mean, in an acorn, you could argue there's an oak tree in that acorn. And whoever looked at an acorn and thought, oh my gosh, that thing can crush my roof and I'm going to have to file an insurance claim. It's just a little acorn. But that acorn is going to become a tree that could fall on your roof, and you might have to file an insurance claim. So if we ignore little acorns in our lives, that's not smart. I'm not talking about getting lost in the details and making, big deals about little things and mountains out of molehills, as they say. As I've said before, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe in his teachings. And there's a prophet in the scriptures, and it says, who has despised the day of small things? And it's a prediction. It's a prediction about when Jesus would come and bring the good news about this new kingdom he was bringing to the earth. And but it's easy to look at little things and think, look down on it maybe. Think nothing of it. I mean, that's what a grassroots movement is. That's what, Apple was at one point. The Apple company, right? There's another ancient writing, not quite as ancient as that prophet. It's from a writing called the Didache, which basically just means teaching. And in it, the writer says, anger leads to murder. Jealousy, complaining, they lead to acts of murder. That may sound dramatic, but if we think of the trajectory of anger, the trajectory of jealousy, the trajectory, all these little things, How many divorces started with anger and unresolved argument? How many, kids leaving home in a bad way, right? Um, Bad work experience. I mean, these things all start with small things and become big things. And so, I'm just putting this out, uh, looking for thoughts on how we collectively can be the example, the man in the mirror, bringing the change that we want to see in the world, and, how to understand and respond, how to interpret what we see in the world and respond to it. And, for example, not going to get into all of the gory details here, but we've seen a lot of things in politics, for example, at entertainer award ceremonies. We see a lot of acting out. An attempted assassination. I mean, we've seen those in history. Assassinations and attempted assassinations. Why? Because somebody was angry, hateful, disgruntled, hurt. If they had a sense, felt like they were treated unjustly, perhaps. Maybe there's some revenge. Maybe somebody did wrong and they did wrong back. These things all start small. And we shouldn't, I believe, my growing belief is that we shouldn't ignore things when they're small, and we shouldn't just dismiss them and say, like kids acting badly. Oh, they're just kids. Boys will be boys, and things like that. I have a roommate. In the days when I was sick, I would just push through and gut it out and go to work. Probably not the best thing to do for my coworkers and such. But I had a roommate. As soon as he got a sniffle, he would go to bed. And what he called it was nipping it in the bud. And I learned that from him, my buddy Greg, fellow English major during college. And I learned from Greg, you shouldn't ignore things when they're small. Things that could grow, become big. Those are my thoughts.